I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast, and we are on location in London, England, at the Resourcing Tomorrow conference, and I am sitting across from Ted Elwood, president of Peloton Minerals Corporation. Welcome aboard, Ted.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to get a catch-up. We first met, actually, a year ago at this very show. Michael White from IBK Capital grabbed me, said, hey, you got to meet this guy, and here we are a year later, and we're talking about your project again. So for those people that aren't necessarily familiar with Peloton Minerals, let's give them the 10,000-foot view of what you are and where you're doing it.
Sure. We're located in northern Nevada, northeastern Nevada. We're a Canadian company, but focused on that area. We have a very large lithium prospect in northeastern Nevada. And that area over the last couple of years has turned into or developed into one of the richest lithium potential supplies of lithium for the United States that there is. There's the Lithium Americas big deposit that is going into production. The United States government is behind that. They put up $2.6 billion to see that into production. General Motors is also invested heavily in that project. Further to the east is a company called Surge Battery Metals, who made an even bigger and richer discovery right beside where we happen to be working with our properties. The value of that deposit that they've discovered is incredibly, the in-situ value is like $119 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than all of the gold that's ever come out of the Gold Strike mine in Nevada. And so there's tremendous value in these lithium deposits. And what's happening in the United States, the Ford and GM and the various car companies, they want a local supply of lithium as the electrification of our world goes forward. And they want a secure supply, ideally from the United States. Right now, over 70% of the final lithium product that goes into batteries comes from China. And that doesn't work for these companies in terms of security for their supply chain. So we're at the optimum time, I think, for lithium exploration. We've got ideal geologic environment. We've proven we're at the identical environment as our next door neighbor, Surge Battery Metals, with the big lithium deposit. And we've spent a lot of time and effort over the course of the summer bringing that project ready to the next important stage, which is drilling. And I'm happy to say that it's now at that point.
Yeah, let's talk about the geophysics of the not necessarily the project. Let's talk about the general geophysics of lithium, because a lot of people really don't understand how lithium deposits are formed, because it's vastly different than what you would get with a copper or gold or a silver deposit, in that they tend to be volcanic types of deposits. But lithium's completely different. It's generally a lake bed or a former seabed where the salts have deposited it in the clay, and it's spread out over vast kilometers of terrain. Is that a good way to describe that? And how does that relate to the area you're in?
Yeah, that's a good general overview. For the type of lithium deposit that we're looking for a lithium deposit that's in a clay bed, and clay beds, can go for quite some distance, and they're near surface. They're easy to mine. But the way that these things form is that typically you have a closed lake or a caldera, which is the bottom of an old volcano, and it fills with water every year from the spring runoff from the mountains. And there's a lot of lithium in the rocks in general. And so as that water comes down from the mountains into this closed lake environment, it carries lithium with it. And over hundreds of thousands of years, this water, it's a cycle where it evaporates. It leaves the lithium behind it in these clay beds that are in the bottom of the lake. And over time, it concentrates. What's really special with the northern Nevada area, and we've proven it on our property, is that there is a secondary source of the lithium on the property, and that is primary magmatic minerals, which is where you get the volcanoes the volcanic action. So there was a blast here at some point in time, maybe several of them over millions of years, where it sent this high grade lithium magma up into the air. It came back down and settled in the bottom of these lakes. And over time, those lithium-bearing clay beds have leached off of that high-grade source and have enriched it and made it, probably one of the richest areas in all of North America as far as lithium goes. Typically, these clay beds where you just have the one source, where water is coming into the closed basin over years, they might average 1,000 ppm in a good one, ppm of lithium. These ones are averaging over 3,000 ppm, which is phenomenal. Some of the drilling that I've seen with our next door neighbor, they've hit up to 8,000 ppms, which is just off the charts. So we're excited about getting going on our drill program as well, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, to clarify, when you talk about these lakes, these are ancient lakes. They don't exist anymore. This is back on, what is now desert floor.
Exactly. So we're talking, 16 million years ago, 12 million years ago. So it's a long
like
time.
Yesterday.
Yeah. and so it's a process that was going on for years. The neighbor, Surge Battery Metals, they've identified at least three enriched clay bed layers. So that means that there was 3 different times that a lake happened. And then there's a layer of volcanic ash in between each clay layer. So over time, what happens? The clay bed starts building up, a volcanic eruption happens, and it lays down this layer of ash from the volcano that's containing the higher lithium magma that I was talking about, and then it starts leaching, and then you have another clay bed on top. So that means another lake was formed, and the cycle just keeps on repeating. That process, in the case of Surge, it could have taken like 1 million years, maybe 2 million years for that all to happen. Fortunately, it won't take 2 million years for us to make the discovery and get it into production.
No, exactly. Especially when you know what you're looking for. So this is exciting now. Surge is a little bit further along than you are, and then Lithium Americas was even further along than Surge. You're kind of the next car in this train that's rolling on. Now, you did a lot of geochemistry testing on your property this year, and you found some exciting things that you can take what Surge is and extrapolate it onto your property. So let's talk about that now.
Exactly. And the train on or the car on the train is an excellent analogy. If you think of Lithium America, they are the engine on the train. So they've gone through the hard work of determining how you mine these deposits, how you discover them, how you process it. Surge is the second car on the train, and they're taking advantage of what Lithium America has learned, what their mistakes were, for example, and we're the third car on the train, and we can learn from both of them. And so we're already having discussions with Surge, sharing some information. They've been extremely helpful, assisting us with what has worked and what hasn't worked. Right now, we have a crew in the field that's using the same type of geophysics that they use to identify the extent of the clay layers that they have on their property. Not only the extent of it, but the number of layers and the thickness of these layers, and the distance or the thickness in between. So they know very well, or have a really good idea on what it is they're going to hit when they drill. And they've been very successful. They've drilled only 22 holes, and they've come up with this. It's the richest deposit in North America for sure. And they've only just started. So we're following the same guidelines, I guess, shall we say, that both LAC and Surge have provided us. So this summer we did extensive soil geochemistry, which is exactly what both of those companies did. We did a detailed geologic mapping. We've done X-ray diffraction analysis, which they both have done some of it. We did the most extensive part of it, and we really used that to identify and confirm that for sure that we're in the bottom of an old historic lake, which is the exact environment that you want to be in when you start with these programs. The process or the projects or field crews that we have in the field right now, they're expanding the property. We have 30 square kilometers. We're adding probably another 10 square kilometers. You have to physically stake in Nevada. Some jurisdictions you can just go on a computer and draw a map, but for what you want, we have to send a crew in the field. So they're out there as of right now today, as a matter of fact, adding about another 10 square kilometers. And that's based on all the work that we did this summer. We saw where the good zones are going, and we knew that we needed to expand the property even further. I thought that 30 square kilometers was going to be big enough, but this continues to amaze me when I see the data as it comes in.
That's the exciting part of a lithium find, is that they can be vast in the amount of territory that they cover, because these lakes were, back in that area, they were massive. And, as a result, the potential for where the lithium could draw into is also massive. And I was excited when you showed me your geochemistry map, because you can see very distinctly where the drill holes are going to have to go when your program starts I'm assuming this spring. So tell me what the plans are for the future here. We're going to drill this, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing all the work that we can possibly fit in between now and the end of December. Then we'll be working on the computer primarily over the winter, getting the targeting right, and shooting for a drill program commencing this spring. The geophysics we're conducting right now, that is the exact same as what Surge did, and it's going to tell us what the depth of the clay layers are underneath the property. If we get something that's shallow, so say 5 feet or 10 feet down, we'll go out there this winter with a small handheld pack sack drill, it's called. We own one of those, and we'll drill some shallow holes into those layers and get them assayed. So, we may have some exciting information even over the course of the winter just using that pack sack drill. But the big drill will be in the spring. Surge's initial program was 8 holes. They on only 8 holes, they managed to establish an initial resource that was very significant. And so we think that we have every probability of being able to do that. The strike length between the areas that we're most likely to drill, the strike length of that is like 8 kilometers long, which is ginormous, and it could get a lot bigger than that. So we got some work to do still this year, but we're gearing up to some really exciting stuff coming spring.
Now, Nevada is a pretty vast territory, and it goes everywhere from low desert to high desert to mountain areas. So drilling season in different parts of Nevada are different. What's the drilling season look like for you folks?
It's generally speaking, it's from about April through to end of December. You can, providing you get some good weather in the late fall. The main concern is water, or so when the clay that's on our property gets wet, it just turns into a skating rink, and so the trucks get stuck, and you tear up vegetation, what have you. So from an environmental standpoint, you really don't want to be doing that when it's wet during the winter. You want to wait till it dries out. It's a lot better for getting the program done, and it's also a lot better for the environment, which we're quite cognizant of course.
Perfect. So if people wish to follow this story further, because it is exciting, how would they do so, Ted?
Our website is pelotonminerals.com. And on the front page of the website, as a matter of fact, are links to our corporate presentation deck, but also 2 very significant papers that were written by a Toronto firm called IBK Capital. They've done a complete corporate analysis and profile on the company that independently. And second of all, they've done a very good overview of the lithium world, shall we say, in Nevada, where they've looked at the north that I've referred to, the higher grade area, and also some significant deposits in going forward in the southern part of Nevada. And they've really done a good job of putting the whole picture together. Nevada is very pro mining historically. They always have been. There's more gold produced in Nevada than most other countries, but they're also very much behind the lithium world. I just attended a conference that was hosted by the governor of Nevada, Joe Lombardo is his name, and he was there to promote the entire lithium cycle happening in Nevada. So right from exploration to development and mine production through to actual manufacturing in Nevada. Tesla has put together a big gigafactory already it's located in Nevada, and through to recycling. So they want, and they're promoting the big recyclers. So they want to have the lithium loop stay in Nevada. And as such, they're very much behind, anything that we want to do from a permitting standpoint. It's a pleasure to work in that jurisdiction, I really have to say.
Yes, it's definitely a friendly jurisdiction. I laugh at that stat about it producing more gold because they call it the silver state, which is funny because that was what it was when it first started, but it became pretty golden, and I think we've got some white gold now with the lithium coming out of Nevada. I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing where this goes in the new year.
Yeah,
it's exciting times.
Yep. Again, thank you for having me.
Peloton Minerals is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants of Peloton Minerals bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.